All right, good morning. It's nice to be back at Ebit again. It's really a privilege to get up here and talk to you. I don't have much time, about 10 minutes before they throw me off the stage. But in that time, my role is to ask you some questions to spur your thinking about your business. As we already heard this morning, questions are important. So that's what I want to do for the next few minutes. And to start this off, I'd like you to indulge me for a second and think about 3 to 5 controllable problems facing your organization. Now, I said controllable, right? That means that they're internal, most likely. They have to do with structure, with communication flow, problems in sales, problems in production, things that you have control over. Things outside your organization, like the quality of a supplier's products, those might be things you can influence, but you don't have control over them. You can't just go into a supplier's company and change what they're doing. Okay? So 3 to 5 controllable problems. Now, as you think about those, how many of them did you have a year ago? All of them? How about 2 years ago or 3 years ago? Probably most of them if you've been in the company any length of time. Now, what's going on here? If you've had these problems for 1 or 2 or 3 years, and you continue working the way you're working, what are the chances that you're going to have them a year from now? And the fact is, you're going to have all of these problems and more. Right? What is going on that we can't solve problems that we have control over? These are important issues in our company. That's why you thought of them. But you have them year after year after year, and you can't solve them. So what is it that's happening? Now, if you look at these problems, how many of them can be solved by one person? Most likely none of them. Because if they could, wouldn't they be solved? I don't believe you have incompetent people. So these are problems that require multiple people to come together and solve them. So that raises the question, what's going on in our organizations that we don't, what is the state of our collaboration? What is the state of people coming together and agreeing on these issues before we start to implement them? Who are the people that are impacted by these things, and should they be included in finding solutions to these problems and implementing them? Right? So that's one issue. We have to look at the state of our collaboration across the organization and up and down the organization. Now, another thing to look at is how many of these problems that you're thinking about have to do with changing something in the organization. Changing the structure, changing some communication flow, changing some sales, some types of processes. All of them? So what is it that's going on in our organizations that people resist change? Could it be that we're not bringing the right people together to build the solutions and agree on the change before we try to implement it? Right? So again, your collaboration processes. But there's another issue here. How many people have time to deal with change? Because change means doing something differently, changing it, it'll take a while, we're not sure what the outcome will be, and I have so much to do today. So this is an issue of we got short-term priorities and then long-term change and development. And these are in direct conflict in your organization. And we need to look at our structure. What is it about your structure that might be getting in the way? Do you have people in your organization that have as their primary responsibilities both short-term priorities and long-term priorities? What's the priority of sales? To make sales today, this week, this month? What's the priority of marketing? Is it to look into the future, to understand market trends, to understand how customers are changing, how competition is changing, and so to take a longer point of view towards the market? And what happens if we have one person responsible for both sales and marketing? In small companies, we have to do this. But at some point, that should change. Because you know in yourself what happens when you have both short-term and long-term priorities. What do you pay attention to? What is it that draws your energy? Is it the long-term or is it the short-term? Where is the immediate pain that you want to avoid? And so what happens when we have short-term and long-term priorities is we focus on short-term, and the long-term kind of becomes an afterthought activity. And so what's going on in our structures, in our organizations? Do we have people that are responsible primarily for short-term operations, and a different group of people that are responsible primarily for change and development? That's what we need in structure. And then, because those are in competition, we need good collaboration processes. How can we build those collaboration processes so they can work together to find solutions, to drive change, and optimize the organization at the same time? That's not easy. To do it collaboratively and to learn from each other rather than just fight with each other. So those are the questions I wanted to ask you today. That's my time. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Good luck in your business development. And I look forward to meeting as many of you as I can during the break. So thank you.
All right. So Greg, it means it's all about asking the questions.
Asking questions, lots of questions.
Thank you.